page Pei, believe it or not, and approximately 10 lines from the top. And the line begins with the word boy. We're talking about chochmah and binah, focused on the principle of oir. And in chochmah there is more oir, and in binah there is reduced oir. The physical motion that we have here, which is so simple that we don't realize what it implies, what it's actually saying. This is actually from the Kishu that there is oil that shines directly from the source. Then there is oil that comes derech haloin, through a window. And then there is oil that comes through a nekev, through an opening, through a little hole, peephole. What is the implication here? What is the difference between it, whether it's haloin, a window, or it's a peephole, or it's a break in the wall? And as a matter of fact, as he explained this also, that when the light of the sun comes through the window, it also illuminates the whole room. And what's the difference? And he says it's reflected in halacha. Achsadro le'eron nibdekes. Achsadro, an open porch. Le'eron nibdekes, you can check it for chometz. Le'eron, by its own natural light. Yes, about night, yes. Biddukas chometz is by night. Biddukas chometz can also be done by day, depending on what your circumstance. So if he's doing biddukas chometz by day, in the house you still need a candle. But achsadra, an open porch, you don't need a candle. Let me explain the principle a little bit in the whole discussion. The Gemara says that oir haner is yofa libdika. Candlelight is yofa, has a special effect of bdika for checking, for looking for things. There are many implications in this. One is because oir haner is such a focused light, that causes one to follow the light and see what the light shows you. Another thing is that the oil haner can be brought very close to the spot that you are boidik, and it creates both a shade and a light. So you can see it from every angle. That's why it has a special affinity to bdika, to checking and finding things. But achsadra, sunlight does not focus and does not guide you to finding things. But if you have a full brightness of the sun, achsadra, then the very bdekas, that is good enough. It can be nibdek b'chometz the oil by its own light, which means the sun light that comes through the achsadra is so unrestricted, and it shows you everything, and it also brightens up your entire search area. What is a window? And what is open sunlight? A window and a peephole. So we discussed many times. Daylight is a unique reality of light. As we discussed many times, that originally daylight had no sun, had no source. Hashem brought light because He created light directly. Afterwards, He camouflaged it, but put it into the sun. But daylight per se has a very special quality. The quality of daylight versus every other light is, every other light, candlelight, flashlight, whatever it is, has a focus, has a particular design, what it is meant to illuminate. What is it for? You switch on the light in the room. The idea is to make sure, to make things in the room visible. Daylight does not have a finite design. It is not a focused light to see this or to see that. It is a light in totality. It is light that eliminates darkness, as we said many times. If there is no darkness, automatically you see everything. You see everything that is there because there's a godly truth to everything. That's why it's all visible automatically. And this is what daylight initially has affected. It's changed the entire phenomenon of world. World has been shown how it is really coming from godliness, because it is light. Then we have derech AYIN, we come through a window. A window is the same light as the daylight in the open field. The difference is a window is taking that light. This is what we're struggling for the whole time. It's taking that true light, and it is saying, you have a function. You're not just light. What's the function? I said, bring light to this little room. Bring light to this little corner. Once you define light functionally, it's no longer that super phenomenon of light. It doesn't transform darkness. It just it is very wonderful and it is very effective, but it has a function, a definitive function of a practical function. This is the derech AYIN. It is the same light, but it's derech AYIN. You have identified a certain practical function for it. Therefore, it is no longer that super phenomenon of light. So the Rebbe gives the mashal for this. This is the mashal for chochmah and binah. Chochmah has this unbridled, unlimited light. Chochmah reveals and reflects the truth as it is in its original state. That's why in chochmah there is no requirement, there's no demand. Prove it, explain it. How come it's like that? You don't need to, because you see it from its inception. You see the truth of it as such. That's chochmah. It's like daylight. It's like the light envelops the entire reality. You don't see it from a darkness perspective. You see it from a truth perspective. That's chochmah. That's why in chochmah there is a nekudas achor. Binah continues with light, but binah is derech AYIN. Binah already has explanations. How come I see it, and why is it here? What's its function? What's its purpose? And the Rebbe continues and says, you have to understand that this light element although you're no longer focused on seeing the light, and now you see it's how it comes through in this structure, in this situation, and so forth. Nonetheless, the light continues to pursue the inyan that it's illuminated.
Rabbi, I thought we said binah is not chalain. It's zaz chalain, and binah is the richuk. Chochmah is the
Okay, yeah. Okay. So, ultimately, the point is that this light is present even at the most practical level. Like he says, when there's a psak din, after there's a whole people, a whole discussion, that is the entire pursuit of binah, trying to justify what I see. Explain? And then he comes with the psak din. The psak din is a phenomenal thing. The psak din, you would think, is a summation of the entire reflection, but it's much more than summation. It is what this light compels. That's a psak. The psak din means a psak. When a Rebbe gives a psak, means that this is an order, so to speak, an order from Torah. This psak clearly is the result of the entire pilpul, and it includes every nuance of this pilpul. The amazing thing is that all the aspects that run into this pilpul can ultimately come into a worldly situation, and it has a message. Do this, don't do this. Do it this way. For example, we wash our hands 3 times each hand. Washing the hands is washing the hands once. But there are so many different aspects going into this. We say, wash your hands twice, wash your hands 3 times. And there's a day that you have to wash your hands 4 times.
What's the day that you have to wash it 4 times?
Okay, thank you.
There's a way that some people do it could do it 4 times.
Could do it 17 times.
Infinite amount of
No, we're talking about halacha. There's a day that you have to wash 4 times.
Uh-huh.
All of these washings are the result of a whole long and intricate pilpul discussion. And in order to include all the aspects of this pilpul, you wash it this way. When you wash it this way, you are actually bringing out in practice this entire pilpul. That means that behela means in an inherent manner, this entire people is present in this action. Okay, so I said the line that begins with the word boy. Or actually maybe we should go to the previous line at the very end. V'hechrach. It's imperative, yesh boy, that in the psak din is contained Chol ha'taimim v'asvoros, all the reasoning, all the reasons, and the svoros in the reasonings are contained in the psak. Rak, except shein behelem, that all that content is behelem, is camouflage, contained within it. But they cannot be identified begilui in a revealed manner.
What cannot be revealed?
All the reasons and all that went into the psak.
That went into what? Sorry, the air conditioner and all that is something.
Yes, sir. What is it?
the last sentence, if you could.
It does not. You're not in a psak din. You don't see begilui. All the reasonings that went into this to conclude that this psak din.
Why not?
This psak din, okay.
Why not?
Because you don't. It's executed in a certain way, but you don't see it. You don't stand there and say, I'm going to wash one time because of this reason, or a second time for this reason, and third time for this reason. Do you?
Well, because the psak din has already been established.
That's right. So in the psak din, as you are doing the psak din, this is the creation that comes from the whole people. But it's not obvious in that action.
Oh, okay, but it's a mitzvah to
You really
know.
need to fight this.
What?
You don't understand what I'm saying? The people created the halacha that you have to watch this way.
Yeah.
But when you watch this way, you don't see what the reason is why you have to watch this way.
Oh, I was thinking in terms like a base din, and they're judging a case, so the judges explain.
The same thing is in Bezdin. The Bezdin comes and has a whole discussion and so on, and listen to all the finest, and then they come up with a psak din. The psak din is a summation of the entire discussion, or not a summation. It is the effect of the entire discussion.
But you explain to the plaintiffs your reasoning.
Once there's a ruling, all that's hidden.
You explain the ruling, but you don't explain the sources for it. Okay. chochmah Mishnah. chochmah Mishnah as, for example, the Mishnah versus the Gemara. Harei ze kitzur. The Mishnah, it represents the kitzur, the summary, the brief, shebo achar ha'arichus, that comes after the expanded discussion. Shehoyo etzlom kol ho'inim b'ri b'tamim svaris. By them, by the Tanoim, this whole inyan was present b'ri b'tamim svaris, with many reasons and many reasonings, so to speak. Tamim means sources, and svaris means intellectual reasonings. Or pilpul godel, and a great extended pilpul. Pilpul means digging in and digging out, back and forth. Called them this entire discussion and this entire complex interaction of svaris, in the Mishnah it comes in a very brief manner. But the Mishnah definitely contains and represents all of these svaris. And then afterwards, in the Gemara, Misrachev Ho'inyan, it extends, the Inyan again expands over, where the Gemara digs into the kitzur, in the psak din of the Mishnah, and identifies what is contained in this psak. Now this is quite different than the process in creating the Mishnah in the first place. Because here we already have the psak. We already have the essential principle. Now we dig into it and say, what's behind it? But we know what we're trying to explain. Whereas originally, how do you pass this child? It's completely different venue. Lochen and thus, Mi shehu chochem godel, one who is a very great chochem, very smart and very wise. Harei tzabahim miloshin hakosed ha-mishnah. Out of the brief expression in the Mishnah, that comes in very brief presentations, Yoideya, he nonetheless knows, Yehu, he knows as kol ha'arichus, the entire expansion of that halach. Just want to point out something from our own learning. Not that this requires a big chochem, but we pointed out. Yeshua says that it comes, the light comes through the window. Comes through a window. But what is that imply? What is the significance of coming from a window versus it coming from an opening in the wall? There is a significance to it. When he says a window, this whole idea of a window has been explored and understood what the window stands for. It's not just an opening to allow light to come in. It's a focused and meaningful light. But he tells us it's a window. Then we have to focus in. Why they say a window? Why not an opening in the wall? So then, by focusing in, we can identify the difference between that and an opening in the wall. And there's I'm sure there are plenty of other points to it. But at least to start with. So this is what you draw from the psak. So Chochem Godel is able to draw, reveal from the psak kol ha'arichus, the entire lengthy discussion. U'b'ha'mishnah hu behelem. But in the Mishnah, that whole discussion is behelem. All these reasonings are behelem, are contained within the psak, and concealed within the psak. This is a very interesting phenomenon. On the one hand, the psak is a revelation, phenomenal revelation of this is what you're supposed to do. What can be more revealed than that? But the guts and the life force behind it doesn't come through. It does not express itself. Clearly, if you follow through on the action and you do what the psak din is, you have incorporated, you have now fulfilled, and the effect of the entire, all this what has come in your action. Because it's there, it's the ring, it's contained in it.
We do say that it's not concealing the light, it's just sort of a summation. While the argumentation gets concealed within the ruling, we are saying that the light is continuous. That's one about
the light continues, but in a very concealed way. There is no question that the light continues. This psak din represents a Torah psak din. As a matter of fact, the Gemara says, Var Havayat, Var Hashem. Where do you get Var Hashem directly? Hu Halacha. That's Halacha. Halacha is this is the Var Hashem. This is the divine command.
Which would kind of imply the maximal revelation of light.
That's right. The Nekuda, the power.
Yeah.
And yet, you don't see it. You don't see what's behind it. Why is this the halacha?
But that element of why it is almost like a more diffuse light. All the argumentation, the svara, that's the minority opinion.
It's not diffused. It's so focused, so concealed that you don't see it.
Okay.
The opposite of diffusion.
Diffuse meaning spread out, not boiled down to a point.
That's right. But this is brought down to a point.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what the point is. That's a binah.
That's right. For example, you have to wash your hands. In certain instances, if you dip your hands in water, if you toible your hands, it's also good. But toible your hands is not enough that you toible in a basin. Even though your hand can drown in the basin. It has to be a mikveh for yourself. What's the difference? The hand is completely submerged. In the Mishnah, this whole discussion is behelem. It's there, but behelem. We have to individually for ourselves. Each one has, as I said, a divine gift of intellect, and therefore you have to try to understand the meaning of the word behelem. Behelem is not like I have a secret and I'm not telling you. I'm telling you everything there is to say. And this is what there is to say. And within this statement is contained a whole richness of thought process. You take your child to shul, sit him down next to you. Otherwise, everybody should have that experience, and maybe should help. And you tell him, sit. Here's a siddur, but you sit in your place. And whatever you say from the siddur, olive base, whatever you say, you sit in this place. What's the difference whether he sits or stands or walks around? And yet you insist that he sit. Not only he sit, but he doesn't say it by heart, he sits from the side from the siddur. All this has a rich internal meaning. And this is what you're trying to impress upon your child. In the long term, you don't even realize where did the child get all that wisdom? You don't realize he got it from the fact that you made him sit next to you. This is it for this morning. And let us make ourselves sit and daven with focus. And we don't even surmise what the effect of that is.